Hello everyone, welcome back to Creative Fusion. So sorry I have been a bit absent in these last 2 weeks, I think. I just was a bit really busy and I didn't really have that much time to upload. But now it's the holidays, so I do have time. So today, as you probably already know, is Autism Awareness Day, but we don't really like to call it Autism Awareness Day. We prefer Autism Acceptance Day. So today I decided to do an autism related video to go with the day. So I am going to be talking about Autism Service Dogs and what they do, etc. And then at the end I will even tell you a bit about some fun facts about autism and maybe even debunk some myths. So let's get started. So first of all, what is an autism assistance dog? So an autism service dog is basically a dog that is trained to help a person that is on the autism spectrum. These can range obviously in any age, so from children all the way up to adults and things like that, because there are autistic adults. So what are these dogs trained to do? So it depends on the person and their specific needs. But for children, it is mostly to keep them safe, because some autistic children do have a tendency to run off or maybe even cross the street dangerously. So they might even have some sleeping problems. So the dog can be trained to help with this. So one of the tasks that a service dog for autism does for children on the spectrum is what we call anchoring. So this is where the child will be attached to the dog around their waist. I'll try to find a picture and put it up. And this basically stops the child from dashing off, which can be very dangerous, especially if you're at the end of the pavement and there's a road. So this is incredibly useful for these types of situations. So another thing that autism service dogs can be trained to do is what we call blocking, I think. So the dog basically just stands in front of a child when they come to cross a road, for example, and this stops the child obviously from running into the street. Funny story, my dog, who is an autism service dog in training, actually does this, but he is not trained to do this, which I find really cute. So yeah, that's what they mostly do for kids. There's also with the sleeping is they can obviously provide comfort in bed, cuddle up with the child, obviously if the dog is allowed to sleep with the child on the bed. They could also help them, for example, if they get out of bed, they will help to guide them back and into bed and help them feel safe. So those are really the tasks that they do for children. Now, for adolescents, obviously it depends again on the independence of the person. But for example, for me, having a lot of anxieties, my dog is trained to provide DPT, also known as deep pressure therapy, and this can be done in various ways. If it's not that bad of like an anxiety. The dog can just rest its head on your lap. If you're sitting down, the dog can actually like put its two front legs on you, kind of like come up on you, and like just give you kisses and hugs there. And then another way is if you're on the floor, the dog will lay on top of you and sort of like uh, put on all their body weight on you so that you feel safe. And this really helps a lot, especially to calm people down. So this is very, very effective. And this is not only for teenagers, but like for all ages. Um, Another service dog task that which I personally didn't know about was the sort of like they provide like space. So you're in a, for example, you're in a shop or something, and you're looking at something, but you know this individual doesn't really like to be touched or doesn't really like to be that close to people, not through any fault of their own. So the dog can actually like lay down like behind the person or in front of them, depending on their position, and they can actually like make people kind of go around them rather than go next to the person, which is very helpful because it does feel like people go through you. So that's just another type of service dog task that is very, very interesting and useful. So some of the better breeds of dogs that are uh, good for as autism service dogs include the golden retriever. I think it's one of the most well-known autism service dogs, and this is because they are extremely attached to their family, not just their person. um, they're also they're just amazing dogs. They're very adaptable, and they're very patient as well, especially like for example with young children that like to like for example like poke around and like you know uh poke at their face and like pull their tail or something. So they are very, very good um with autism. uh Actually, there is a film I saw once. It was about autism, and it was called After Thomas. It was a 2006 TV film, British TV film, and it was actually based on a real life real life events about a real person. And it was basically about this dog Thomas who really like helps this his child like the child that adopted him to you know learn and grow, especially in like his communication, for example. This wasn't a service dog though. They just like bought him as a family pet. um but still, it's just amazing what dogs can do. Anyway, number two is a Saint Bernard, apparently. Um, uh, Again, although they're very, very big, they're also very gentle. That's something incredible I find about big dogs, is that most of the time they're some of the most gentle beings in the world. Um, they are very good with kids, and they love their families. So yeah, they are very good for autism. So next we have a Labradoodle, which is a poodle mixed with a Labrador, and they are also very commonly found in like service dog like organizations, I guess you can say. And yeah, they are very, very intelligent, very quick to learn, also very good with kids. They're also uh, quote unquote hypoallergenic because they do have the poodle in them. Even though there's no such thing as a hypoallergenic dog, because what people are actually allergic to is uh, their skin, not their fur. Um, the dander that is on the skin. It's not on the fur. So, but they are much better for people with allergies. So that's a good alternative. Next we have the collie, like the rough collie, um, and they are also very intelligent, and they love their families as well, and they are very, very good companions with children and people with autism. Uh, so next we have the German Shepherd. These I love these dogs. They are so protective, so loving. Um, they are mostly known to be police dogs, but they can be incredible service dogs and guide dogs. I think one of the first ever guide dogs was a German Shepherd, so that's actually really cool. I love these dogs. They're gorgeous. Next we have the Bernese Mountain Dog, and in Malta we do actually have Bernese Mountain Dog service dogs, uh, but we don't really use them very much because it is hot, and they're mostly suitable for cold weather. But they have such an amazing personality. They are very sweet. um they're just amazing. I mean, all dogs are really amazing in my opinion. But yeah, they're great. They can calm people down, and they're just incredible, and they look adorable. Next we have the Samoyed. These dogs are just, again, absolutely beautiful. um they are easy to train, and they're very good with families and children again. um and they're just big, fluffy, smiling dogs who can put a smile on anyone's face. Next, we have the Newfoundland, which is not surprising. These dogs have been called I believe, the nanny dog, something like that. They are very good with children, very, very good with children. They're quite big and they're quite slobbery, but wow, they are amazing dogs. Next we have a beagle. These are um, these dogs are adorable. I love them so much. Um, they are very, very playful and energetic. So I mean, if you have an energetic child, this is a great dog to have. Like, they are just amazing. And they will increase your child's, I mean, all these dogs will, but they will increase your child's sociability. Next, we have the Staffordshire Bull Terrier, and these are also very, very sweet dogs. They have a bit of a reputation, a bad reputation, because they are a quote unquote bully breed, but no, they are very sweet. They're just, I've met a few, and wow, they are adorable. Um, and it all just depends on how they're raised and the owner as well. But yeah, they can be very, very close to their families, very loving. Next we have the poodle. So so poodles, you can actually have like the standard, the miniature, and the toy poodle. So you do have a bit of a variety when it comes to size. Like the Labradoodle, they are also quote unquote hypoenergenic. Um, and they are so intelligent. They are uh, in the top 5 most intelligent dog breeds, I believe. So they are very, very good. Um, Next, we have the Great Pyrenees. which do kind of look like white golden retrievers, but they are a completely separate breed. Um, they are very, very loving to their families, and they just look like a polar bears in your house. They do shed a bit, but it's a small price to pay for an adorable dog, and they are so calming, so relaxed. So I think last but not least we have the Labrador. I think this is one of the most common breeds you see as guide dogs and service dogs, um, and they are also incredible. Um, they are a bit more excitable, I would say, than, for example, a golden retriever. Goldens tend to be a bit more calm, a bit more sensitive, whereas Labradors are just all over the place. They're so happy, but they put a smile on anyone's face, and they just love children, love their family, and they will be a great addition to the family. So now going into some autism facts that even I didn't know until today. So the word autism actually means alone because it is derived from the Greek word autos, meaning self. So this literally means alone. It is very common, especially in boys, but this is because the diagnosing process was really designed for boys, as in the past, people actually believed it was like a boy only condition. So, this is why it's different because autism in girls, you know, is very different, is looks very different from autism in boys. So, that is actually the reason why autism is found more commonly in boys. I can actually make a video if you guys want about autism in girls specifically, because there's obviously less awareness about it, which is why girls are diagnosed later than boys, sometimes even as adults. You find lots of adults that get diagnosed, uh, in their 30s, in their 40s. So yes, so that was the like a bit of fun fact section. Now we're gonna go into the myths about autism. So we can start this off by some of the most common myths about autism. So the first one is that bad parenting causes autism. This is further from the truth, and it's a bit mean to say the least. Um, because no, that is not true at all. Autism, we don't really know exactly what causes it, but um, they have found that it is mostly genetic. So it has nothing to do with how you parent your child. I mean, obviously, the way a child is brought up is going to affect them for the rest of their life, but it doesn't cause autism. So another fact about autism, myth about autism that is quite common is that it can be cured. No. um, that would be the day. Personally, if there was a cure for autism, I wouldn't go for it because autism, it's part of who I am. I mean, I don't let it define me, and no, it shouldn't define someone, but at the same time, it's who you are almost. Um like it's a part of you. You can't get rid of it. Um so no, autism cannot be cured. The symptoms can be improved. For example, speech. You can go to like speech therapy, and you can obviously like improve speech there, for example, occupational therapy. These are some of the most common therapies for autism. So there is help out there, but you can't cure it. So the third one I have here is that there is an autism epidemic. No, it doesn't work that way. It's the only reason there's been like an increase of autism diagnosis is because there's more awareness about it, and so people are getting diagnosed with it, and there's more adults being diagnosed with it that weren't diagnosed as children, obviously. So there is no autism epidemic. It's just that we're finding out about other cases, that weren't discovered in childhood. So another myth here is that autistic people avoid social contact. No, there's also a similar one that says autistic people do not want to be sociable with people, which isn't really true at all. I mean, uh, in fact, social situations are how I realized that I had autism. Because I just so wanted to feel included, to have friends, and that was very difficult for me because I would try so hard, but nothing would work. I would always feel like an outsider, like I didn't belong in the group. So this is not true at all. I mean, obviously, sometimes, yes, if you find, if this person, for example, finds somewhere that's overwhelming and they know that they could have a meltdown or even a panic attack, then yes, there's a more likely chance that they're going to avoid that place, just, so that they don't have to go through um, a meltdown, because those are very tiring. So that's another myth debunked. Another myth that I found out about today, actually, is that autistics are more violent. I had never heard of this before, which is really interesting. And no, this is not necessarily true. Like, anyone can be violent. But most of the time, see, autism, it affects your communication mainly, right? So a lot of the times, we try to get like our feelings, our points across, and they're not understanding. So we tend to get very like frustrated quickly, and sometimes we don't really know how to regulate our emotions and how to like express them well. So obviously that can turn into violence. But any person can be violent. Like it's not something just for autistics. Um, so that's another myth debunked. Um, another another myth that I found is that people with autism cannot talk. No, there. For the case in point, I have autism, but I'm talking. Um, there are people, yes, that are gonna be non-verbal. Um, it just depends on the person. It just depends on the case. Um, for example, uh, I'm gonna have take an example from me here. I sometimes just completely freeze and I'm unable to talk if I'm too stressed out by something. So, it, yeah, it depends on the situation, on the person. Yes, there are people who unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but like, they can't talk and it's not their fault. But it really just depends on, the situation, like I said, and where the person is on the spectrum. Um, and another uh, myth is that autism is a learning disability. Uh, Not really. A learning disability. autism isn't a learning disability, it's a neurological uh, condition that you you have no control over, and it affects your communication mostly. And so while yes, it can autism can have an effect on your learning and your education, it isn't a learning disability. um Learning disabilities, for example, are like dyslexia, for example, where someone can't uh has trouble differentiating from different letters, which is completely different from autism. But I mean, autism, yeah, it can affect, but it isn't a learning disability. So another very interesting one is that all autistic people have like savant syndrome as well, which is actually very commonly, how do you say it, like portrayed in the media. For example, an an example coming off right off the bat is The Good Doctor, where the Sean, the main character, is obviously autistic, and he also has savant syndrome, and this is portrayed many times in the media. If there's an autistic character, um, and this is not true at all. um, while yes, some autistic people, because of their special interest, which is actually a symptom of autism, because of their special interest, they may know more about a certain topic than others. And yes, there are some autistic people who are incredibly intelligent individuals. For example, I heard Albert Einstein apparently was suspected to be on the spectrum, which is actually pretty cool. Um, so yeah, it is a possibility, but not all people on the autism spectrum are geniuses, basically. Um, uh, Another myth is that autistic people can't be in a relationship. I just debunked this last year because I did get a boyfriend last year, in summer. So no. Um, and autistic people can live fairly like normal lives. I mean, it really just depends on the person. Yes, some people need a bit more help, some people need a bit more assistance in their everyday life, but others can live just fine. They just need some assistance in communication, for example, or maybe to prepare for a job interview. I don't know. I'm inventing here, but um, and many autistic people like routine. I think this is the last myth that I have here, and yes, I guess. I mean, for some people thrive on it. Some people have very like strict routines that they have to do something each and every day, or they have to do something on a specific day of the week. And well, I think many autistic people rely on routines, but I think the strictness of it varies greatly because I have, for example, at 5 I always need to have, like, I call it my snack time. So yeah, that is part of a routine, but it's not like super structured. Like, it is a bit flexible, and it's very like empty as well. There's not really uh like that's really the only type of like routine that I have. Obviously, I have to like take care of my dog, etc., but that's really my main sort of routine related things that I really need. To have a snack at 5. um So I think that will be all for today. Thank you so much for listening. and I hope you have a great day. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!